Lily, a young professor in her late 20s, receives a call informing her that her grandmother has passed away. She travels to the small, isolated village where her grandmother lived, a place she hasn't visited in years. The house is old, creaky, and full of memories. It's clear that the house has been untouched for a long time. While exploring the house, Lily stumbles upon a room that had been locked for as long as she can remember. It's a dusty, cluttered room full of old furniture and boxes. While sorting through the items, Lily finds a small, leather-bound diary hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Lily opens the diary and begins to read. The first few pages describe her grandmother's childhood, unremarkable at first, but soon the tone shifts. The entries start to describe strange happenings in the house, voices at night, and shadows that moved without explanation. The final entry in the diary is chilling. It's not just in my head. They're coming for us. They've always been here. After reading the diary, Lily begins to notice odd things around the house. Flickering lights, doors creaking open, and strange sounds. At night, she hears what sounds like whispers coming from the walls. She grows increasingly paranoid, convinced the house is haunted. Determined to understand more, Lily begins researching her family's history. She finds that her grandmother was part of a local legend, a story about a family that lived in the house centuries ago, rumored to have been involved in dark rituals. The townspeople whispered that the family made a pact with something in the forest, something that still lingered in the house. Lily discovers an old photograph of her grandmother as a young woman, standing with her parents and other relatives, all looking strangely serious. But in the background, there is a shadowy figure lurking in the trees. The more Lily studies it, the more she realizes that the figure resembles someone in the house, a figure she keeps seeing in the shadows. One night, as Lily tries to sleep, she hears heavy breathing and scratching at her door. When she opens it, there's no one there, but the room feels colder. She realizes that the presence in the house isn't just a ghost, it's something much darker, something that has been tied to her family for generations. The last entry in the diary is a desperate plea for help. If you read this, leave. It's already too late for me. Terrified, Lily decides to leave the house, but as she packs her things, the house seems to fight back. Doors slam shut, windows break, and the temperature drops drastically. As she makes her way toward the exit, she sees the shadowy figure in the hallway, blocking her way. With nowhere left to turn, she grabs the diary and rushes out of the house, but as she exits, the door slams shut behind her. Now out of the building, feeling safe for the moment, cold shivers ran down her spine. She can't grasp the sense that something is off. She cannot shake the feeling that something is still watching her. The unsettling experiences don't end once she leaves the house. She begins seeing shadows in her peripheral vision and hearing whispers when there is no one around. At night, she feels as though she is being followed, always just out of sight. Even in the city, the sense of being trapped by an unseen force remains. A few days after her escape, Lily is sitting in her apartment, trying to piece together what happened when she receives a letter. It's an old-fashioned envelope, sealed with wax, addressed to her in elegant handwriting. The letter contains a single sentence: "The house will not let you go." Suddenly, Lily starts to experience vivid nightmares about the house. In these dreams, she is trapped inside, unable to leave, with the shadowy figure constantly appearing, watching her from the windows. The diary's final plea echoes in her mind. It's already too late for me. Desperate for answers, Lily returns to the village to speak with the townspeople. Most of them are tight-lipped, but an old woman in the market warns her to stay away from the house, and in hushed tones tells her that the family who lived there before her grandmother made a pact with something sinister. The woman speaks of strange rituals performed under the moon, involving offerings to an ancient entity from the woods. The entity is said to return if disturbed, and once it marks someone, it will follow them forever. Convinced that the house is connected to the terrifying events, Lily returns to confront whatever curse haunts her family. The house is still abandoned, dark, and unsettling. As she steps inside, the door slams behind her, trapping her in the same nightmare. The air is cold, and the floorboards creak under her feet. She moves cautiously, holding the diary tightly. The shadows in the corners seem to shift and move on their own. In the attic, Lily discovers an old, hidden room. It's covered in strange symbols carved into the walls, symbols that match those in the diary. As she investigates further, she finds an old ritualistic altar, complete with remnants of long burned candles and dried flowers. This is where her ancestors performed their dark rituals. But something is wrong. There's an inscription on the wall that was never in the diary. The bloodline must end. The cycle must be broken. As Lily touches the wall, the ground beneath her begins to shake. A dark figure materializes from the shadows, the same one she's seen in the photos and the dream. It steps closer, and its voice resonates in her mind. You cannot escape. The figure reveals itself to be an ancient entity that has been bound to the house and her family for generations. It feeds off their fear and sorrow, and now it demands Lily's surrender. Lily realizes that the only way to break the curse is to destroy the house, burn it to the ground. But as she prepares to leave, the figure warns her that burning the house will only release it into the world. It has claimed generations of her family and is now ready to spread beyond the walls. Lily stands outside the house, now engulfed in flames. The dark figure watches from the shadows, its presence no longer hidden, but full of menace. The heat from the fire radiates as the house crumbles, yet she feels no relief. The evil has been set free, just as the figure warned her. It had been trapped within the house for generations, bound to the walls, to the land, and now it is unleashed. The flames rage, but the figure's voice still echoes in her mind. You think this ends with fire? It only begins. Lily watches the fire consume the structure, the crackling wood and rising smoke seeming almost like the entity's final scream. But something feels wrong. The shadows seem to lengthen even more, swirling around the site of the fire, as if the entity is trying to find its way back into the world. As the fire burns out, Lily feels a momentary sense of peace. The house is gone, the curse should be broken, and yet the air feels thick with an unexplainable weight. She heads back to the village, hoping to leave everything behind her. But when she arrives, she finds the streets eerily empty, as though everyone is hiding. The once bustling town feels abandoned. Lily goes to the village square, where an old woman who had warned her about the curse is standing, waiting. The woman's eyes are wide with a knowing expression. You've done what you had to do, but you've unleashed something far worse, Lily. Before Lily can respond, the ground beneath her feet shifts, as if the earth itself is trembling. Shadows grow longer, and a low growl reverberates through the air. The woman pulls out a weathered book, one similar to the diary Lily had found. She opens it to a page with the same symbols, and as she reads aloud, Lily hears the truth for the first time. The curse was never truly bound to the house. It was bound to the bloodline. Your bloodline. Lily recoils in horror, realizing the terrifying truth. The entity she had burned in the house was not just bound to the land, but to her family, to her ancestors. Every member of her family who lived in the house had made a pact to keep it imprisoned. But now, with the house destroyed, the pact was broken. The curse had been passed on to her. The woman's voice is soft, but full of dread. The house is gone, but you'll carry the curse now. The entity is inside you, Lily. You've set it free. Lily begins to feel it, then the cold that has crept into her veins, the overwhelming sense of something watching her, something alive inside her, clawing to break free. The world around her seems to shift and distort. The villagers, who had once been so friendly, now stare at her with cold eyes, as if they've all known what was to come. As she runs through the streets, the shadows stretch after her, growing larger and darker, twisting and whispering her name. The dark figure from the house appears once again, but now it is not just a shadow, it is a manifestation of the curse, a part of her that has come to life. The village begins to crumble around her, the buildings decaying and collapsing as if they are being consumed by the curse itself. The once serene town becomes a nightmare, and in the distance, Lily sees it, a figure walking toward her from the fog, a twisted reflection of herself. The entity now wears her face. "You cannot run," it whispers, a voice that sounds like her own. The camera pulls back, revealing Lily standing at the edge of the village, where the land is now barren, the forest wilting, the night sky filled with a dark, swirling vortex. Her face is blank, her eyes hollow, as the curse inside her takes root. The figure that mirrored her steps toward the horizon, now a part of the night itself. "It's too late for you, Lily." "It always has been."